And once I've pressed the go live button, everybody on YouTube will be able to join us. We have got 14 members who are joining us on YouTube. Please note that those joining us on YouTube will be about 5 seconds behind the Zoom channel. If you have both on, kindly turn the volume down to another one. There we go. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Engineer CHIWALA. He will be giving us a presentation. He's our chair for the Lusaka Avocado Multipurpose Cooperative. Thank you very much, Engineer. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Linda, for this opportunity to share this training forum on a subject called Introduction to Avocado Farming. And personally, and on behalf of the board, I would like to just appreciate, Linda, the work you are doing to organize all this session, the surveys that have been helping us. We are boundless grateful. And to the members as well, let us continue soldiering on to push this agenda of placing Zambia on the avocado global map. We have excellent climate. We have no reason to lag behind Kenya and Tanzania, and even our neighbor here, Mozambique and Zimbabwe. So let us put our hands together and push this agenda forward. With that said, I would like to just share the outline of what I will talk about. I'll give some objectives and share a nugget. Also outline how our country Zambia is well positioned for farming. And in here, I'll then go to talk about the A to Z of avocado farming, including the avocado production cycle. And we'll share what we do at Mariah Gardens in Lusaka and the whole question of value addition, which is critical. And also a global overview of the capital and operation costs to begin this initiative. And I'll touch on how the global market is playing out. Also talk about the key pillars to commercializing avocado farming. Of course, I'll end on that nugget that you know from the African Development Bank president, who is so passionate about making agriculture work in Africa. With that said, we basically have three objectives. Number one, to outline or to show the A to Z of avocado farming. And then I'll touch on value addition. This is key, because so far we've been able to see about 16 products that can come out of avocado. Amazing, it's an amazing food. You hardly throw away anything. Even the skin, our friends in Uganda are using it for making charcoal briquettes for energy, so that they don't cut trees. So it's an amazing food. And there's steps being taken to commercialize avocado farming in Zambia. However, there are some preliminary issues for us as Lusaka Avocado Cooperative Society. This has to do with the second AGM set for 14th January at 18 hours. We want to implore the members to make time. This is key so that decisions are made, so that this year we can run. You know, we are already investing in the plantation in Kawambwa. We have staff working there. Nursery is established. We've also started planting directly in the ground. Some grafted seedlings, 2,000 already planted there. So there's so much to do. And of course, we began planting some commercial crops that are short-term to enable us to raise capital to finance the operation. And here I have in mind the pineapples. I used to think pineapples only grow in Northwestern province, but Kawambwa is excellent for that. So we want to implore you to make time for this Saturday's meeting. We start at 18 hours sharp without delay once we make a quorum. So these are key things I wanted to just bring to our attention and make sure that we are aligned. I've been greatly impacted by Mensa Oatbill from Ghana. who said the wealth of a nation does not reside in the abundance of its natural resources, but in the wisdom of its people. And Singapore reflects this statement because a tiny island with literally nothing, but the wisdom of those people transformed that backwater country, which is 1,000 times smaller than Zambia, and catapulted it into the first world in 35 years, in one generation. This is a country that is 1,000 times smaller than Zambia. And basically, it's the application of what we know. And for me, as I look at my country, that's the missing element. We can debate very well, but implementation, we have a low IQ. IQ, I don't mean intelligent quotient, I mean implementation quotient. That is the need of the hour that we need to really push. And the Bible is instructive on this matter of land. In Proverbs 12:11, the Bible says, those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies have no sense. About a week ago, I had a meeting with some acquaintances out of Sweden. I was amazed what they told me, that they are only able to farm for about 6 months of the year. The other they can't. The climate just can't allow. But they've learned over the years to store food to cover the other 6 months. It's amazing. I do even see some marmalade in some of these our shops. A country that can only farm for 6 months. Here is 12 months. So we really need to change the narrative. Very well then. Then there's a historical perspective of avocado farming in Zambia, which we've been researching. Hass was introduced in Zambia more than 30 years ago. There are some trees that are 30 years in Zambia. This is something that I've picked up in the last 3 years. Amazing. However, the people that came across this idea kept this secret to themselves. Unlike Kenya, Kenya democratized the growing of avocados and anyone, small or big farmers alike. And that's why we lagged behind. So in 30 years, if this was made available, cooperative form, if you have 10, you are able to aggregate, would have been somewhere. And at the moment, the sector lacks a regulatory framework, which we think will work with the government to formulate policies. The only thing that we've seen in recent past is the registration of nursery. That is following the meeting we had with the Minister of Agriculture last year. And in terms of avocado concentration in the country, we see them much on the Copperbelt, Luapula, Northern, and Muchinga regions. That's where most of these avocados grow. And it's worth noting that suitable ecological zones for growing avocados have not yet been mapped. So this is something through ACUS and Ministry of Agriculture we need to work on, so that we are able to do soil analysis, climatic analysis, and know that these are the regions where this can grow and grow very well. Because avocado loves water. And there was an initiative in 2009. Farmers came together through the small-scale growers of Zambia, an NGO DFID that funded this project from 2009 to 2014. And we've come to learn that they exported us avocados, mainly from the Kasisi area, into the United Kingdom. However, this was externally driven project. When it came to an end, everything collapsed. That's why we are pushing this initiative locally, so that it is driven by indigenous initiative. And during that time, the Avocado Growers Association of Zambia was created to promote the growing of avocados. And they have members in the Kasisi, Copperbelt, and part of northern provinces. So in recent developments, we've had the Avocado Cooperative Union of Zambia established. This is in 2021. as umbrella organization to superintend over the cooperatives that have been formed in the 10 provinces of Zambia. And this is the anchor institution through which all provincial cooperatives report to. And their goal, the goal of this cruise, is to promote the commercialization of avocado growing and the securing of markets for members. And in just under 2 months, or about 2 months, the Lusaka Avocado Cooperative, 2 months and a few weeks rather, will have had a 2-year lifespan. We were established in 2021 March. Very well then. How is Zambia positioned in terms of the cultivation of avocados? What are the key factors that influence the growing of avocados? Number one is the altitude. The range between 1,000 meters to 2,000 meters above sea level is key. This is where you find most growing regions. And we've seen even on mountain ranges, they do very well. And also in areas with rainfall not less than 100 millimeters per annum. Temperature ranges of 20 to 30 degrees. So as we grow avocado, we need to have these measuring instruments so we are able to get this kind of thing, the temperatures in our region, and also the pH of our soils. I think Mr. Cho has been sending some equipment for that, particularly for measuring pH, very key, and also measuring moisture content. This is key so that we scientifically follow through the whole regime of ensuring that we meet the requirements that the international market has set under the Global Gap Initiative. And of course, temperature ranges during flowering are key, temperature above 18 degrees. And here in Zambia, we don't expect a big problem in this. There are export markets that have been secured, and also certification requirements for nurseries has begun, which is key so that we get nurseries that are certified so that we are sure that what they are doing is the right thing. We've been working also with ZDA and ZF. ZDA helped us on 2 occasions to participate in the MAC Fruit conferences in Italy, and another one is coming this year in May. The first one was we were represented by Olinda. Last year, Mr. Choa, the Secretary General. And this year, it's our expectation that we can send representation. And why we need to participate here is to ensure we have market access. It's through this initiative that we've been able to have those market access. Also, we thank Mupano, who is in Italy, working in foreign service for Zambia. He has been very instrumental in helping us have those networks. And already he's brought some other people who are going to work with us on the certification of our farms so that we meet those requirements. And they've already begun establishing presence in Zambia, working with Zambia Development Agency. So these are the initiatives that are in place. And we think that they'll help us really meet those asset standards. Very well. What then is the A to Z of avocado farming? I think the starting point is soil analysis, so that you are able to understand the textural analysis of the soil in terms of the content of sand, silt, and organic matter, and the clay matter. And it's expected that the clay content in avocado for it to do well should be between 20 and 40%. If you have more than 40%, then you'll have problem because you'll have water retention and the rooting system will suffer root rot. Once that soil analysis has been done, so you're able to see the key parameters that are there, then you are able to propose soil amendments and the land preparation that are needed. Once this is done, then you look at the rootstock selection and propagation and the issue of scions and grafting and the wetting to ensure that the grafting heals and the leaves are hard enough. So those are the preliminary things to look at. Then you come into disease and pest control. Very key. Mr. Cho, I saw on the group talking about fruit fly problem, and where you can get some equipment to help deal with the problem of fruit fly in the trees. Very, very important. Site selection and plant spacing. Long time ago, when this industry was growing, we noticed that there was the low density planting, meaning the spacing between plants, adjacent plants, was very big, 10 meters by 9, 7 by 8, and that sort of thing. But we are seeing a reduction towards high density planting, with spacing sometimes even of 3 by 4, 4 by 4, 5 by 5. And the reason has been, with high density planting, you are able to get more fruit per unit area and recover in terms of the return on investment area than when you have maybe 2 plants in an avocado orchard. So these are things through practice that people have been able to investigate and establish. Irrigation system, and we work also with LAMCS. We have pipes that we buy at 15% discount. We can continue to do that. Then, of course, you move into establish an avocado plantation itself, the planting, putting windbreak. Windbreak is key because when wind is allowed to go through a plantation, particularly during flowering, you lose a lot of flowers, and that will in fact impact negatively on the fruit loads and the number of fruit that you have at the end of the day. Then the monitoring of the pollination. We've learned recently that during that flowering period, you can actually spray your plantation with water in your nut sprayer and honey. This attracts more bees to your plantation, and that increases fruit loads. And you monitor plant behavior through the different seasons, and you should have a fertilization regime that you follow until the packaging and when the fruits are mature. And once that is done, you can sell the fruit and then also look at value addition. And the issue of pricing and marketing, which the cooperative is working on, buying from the members for use here and for export purposes. So that is a full cycle of the production of avocados: pre-production preparation, production periods, and post-harvest handling and marketing. So each of these elements, there are facets that we need to look at and pay attention to ensure that we meet those requirements. The slides will be made available so you can then go and start in terms of those segments that are key for each cycle. In terms of factors to consider here, sites, the land need to be free from frost, and frost normally comes when the temperatures begin to drop below 12 degrees, and then can attack the plant, and bananas especially attacked by frost. They will just burn like you've put fire. So they need to monitor temperatures and keep records is key. Protection from wind, and having well-drained soils. This is as a result of your having done the soil analysis through Mount Nakuru or the University of Zambia. And it's worth noting that to have high fruit load, the plants need maximum sunshine. Therefore, the plantation should be in the direction, in terms of orientation, north, south, so that when the sun is coming from the east, there is maximum heating of the sun rays on your canopy of your plants. Then the key thing, the need for creating a windbreak. I talked about strong wind lead to loss of flowers and fruit drop, resulting in low yield. And you can use pine trees or mulberry as windbreakers, and are normally at a distance of about 3 meters from your plantation. And they are also 3 to 7 meters from your plantation, and they should be around 3 meters in between within the rows. What then are the factors that influence the spacing, plant spacing? One, available land. If you only have 1 hectare, for example, as a farm, to go and put a spacing of 10 by 9 will not be a good thing to do, because you'll have less plant load on your land. And with the high dense planting that has been muted, in terms of the return, take a bit of time for you to recover investment, particularly from irrigation and several other things that you have done. Type of avocado. Here, the local avocados grow very big. They may require more spacing. By their nature, they are big plants. We have some that we are propagating at Mariah Gardens that are big and very nice, very big seed, and some of them with quite some reasonable amount of oil content. So those can be used for value addition. And the orientation of your avocado plantation, I've talked about that, soil type and depth, long-term and short-term goals, the pruning and thinning practices and training practices that to ensure that the canopy is just the right size for maximum receipt of wood sunshine. I have noticed that for a tree on the southern side of it, from north-south, you find that in terms of fruiting, there are usually not as many fruits compared to those that are on the northern side as the sun is moving. This is something I've been observing. Other factor influencing spacing is level of mechanization, that you have to require a tractor and big trucks to go through for harvesting. So that will influence the spacing. And of course, available capital investment. And I've talked about planting density already. The importance of soil texture analysis. As you know, clay has very fine particles. That's why they keep so much moisture inside. But sand releases the soil, it's good for draining. So there is need to mix this sand and clay, topsoil, as well as organic content to get just the right amount of each of these elements in the soil for purposes of improving drainage, water holding capacity. If it is sand, too much sand, then the water will all seep, and the root system of your plant will not have enough water. So you might just have enough water that is required by the plant. Of course, susceptibility to erosion, organic matter content. This is key for purposes of manure and also to prevent water loss. And the issue of cation exchange capacity, because this is key for absorption of the minerals from the soil. And of course, pH level, and they need to ensure that the pH level falls within the range of 5 to 7 for maximum growth of your plants. So these are the different spacing that are used. And the goal in plant spacing is to maximize light interception by the tree canopy. This is key for photosynthesis, for flowering, and all these things. You really want to have a high yield from your plantation. And the one in color brown there, 5 by 5, 3 by 7, and 6 by 3. Those are some of the spacing that I've commonly seen around here in the country. And they're just about right in terms of the density, number of plants that you get. The pH is key. I've talked about optimal range 5 to 7 because it affects the absorption of the nutrients from the ground. If the pH is low, we'll have challenges to that. And also if it is above 7, you need to also make some amendments to bring it in line, that's just within the 5 to 7. That's why we advocate the need for soil analysis so that this is known well in advance. Either if it is too alkaline, not good, too acidic, not good. So this is the optimal range. And you need every year to test the soil for pH. Hence the need to equip yourself with that pH meter. Cost around 500 to 600 kwacha, so that on the ground you are able to get these readings and record, because as you fertilize, your pH changes with time in the soil. It won't remain at this. So with fertilization, it impacts the pH of the soil. Hence, through the grower's calendar, there are times when you should do this so that you again check your soil, you measure the pH and all the other parameters so that they are within the region that you want them to be. It's not a one-off experiment. No, it's a continuous process so that the degree of acidity and alkalinity in soil are maintained within the optimal range, so as even the other elements. That's a small machine, the pH meter, a 6-liter plastic container at Mariah that we use to test the soil pH. It also tests moisture content, very key. And so textural analysis, I've said, Unza and Makuru, we work with them and visit them and they'll be able to do that. So this is the soil textural analysis, and this is a starting point that agronomists use when they are establishing the type of soil you have based on the percentages they will have calculated for silt, for clay, for sand, and so on. And you need to fall in the middle range there. Very, very key with the clay content of between 20 to 40. That's what you are looking for to help you in water holding capacity, but also with enough sand as well to help in the drainage system, and of course organic matter as well. Very, very important triangle that they use analyzing soil structure. Then of course you can make your own compost at your place using grass and leaves, and cow dung and chicken manure, and have it processed for at least 2 months. And use this as a fertilizer that you can apply once every quarter on your plants so that they have enough fertilizer for them to grow well. Compost making very, very key. And in recent past, there's also the idea of making liquid fertilizers. We did bring last year Professor Thompson Sinkala. He handled this ably on the liquid fertilizers. This is just one example of avocado seedling being planted on a raised mound. Very key for purposes of improving drainage, not in a trough. Don't plant in a trough. You don't want water to be ponding. You want it to freely drain. And then this mound, every year you keep increasing it as the plant grows. And through this, they do very well. So this should be around 20 to 40 above the ground of the soil. so that you are able to plant the seedlings. Very, very key. In terms of technology for irrigation, the microjet is key, micro sprayer and drip. And of course, buckets, if you don't have this money initially, we've used in the past before we invested in the irrigation, the poly pipes. We've used small containers, the 5 liters that were placed on each plant. And then water was given twice per week to enable the plants go through the dry season and catch up during the rain season, basically to pass through that critical stage. And the container works like a drip, so it will just be dripping water there. Everywhere else it will be dry, but it helps. Then you are able to irrigate this 2 or 3 times per week. Issue of pollination I've talked about, and the role of plants type A and B, you know about Hass and Fuete. You need to have at least a 10% Fuete in your plantation to help in the cross-pollination is key. And this is something that we are beginning to push so that the propagation of Fuete also can be enhanced because we need it. Placing of beehives, these 4 beehives in a hectare to attract the bees. And in the process, you also have honey. The bees will go to the plants and help in the pollination. This is part of what the good practice. In terms of the growers calendar, annual growers calendar, that you need to be observing is one, the plant growth cycle, what they are doing at each stage, month on month, the time when they are starting to bud, to flower, the fruit set period. So record in your diary so that you're able to monitor what's happening. And the management of your phytosanitary activity is key. Fertilization plan, I've just talked about it. And of course, integrated pest management and disease control. Monitoring of the pH is not a one-off. I've talked about this. Tree management, the pruning, and Professor Reda is key on this. Visit him, he's able to help and share how this can be done. Preparing fire break. We did see what happened to some of our members losing trees, thousands of trees because of fire break. So begin early to prepare fire break and also ensure the plants. Windbreak and periodic soil analysis, very critical. So this is a chart picked from one of the books on the behavior of Hass and what happens at each period, month on month. So this gives you a picture of what you need to be doing at each period in the growth cycle of the fruit. When it is dropping, when the fruit are setting, when fruit are budding, when they are flowering, very, very key. And at each time of those, there is some things you need to be doing so that you have maximum fruit. Of course, we do know and appreciate why Hass is popular. One of them is long shelf life and very high commercial value and high oil content compared to other varieties. So this have given it a global market and demand. And trees also have a long lifespan, greater than 50 years. So it's a generational investment in a sense. So those are the key players in terms of the avocado value chain, seedling growers, up to those companies that will add values, and of course, consumers and financials. We need to be aware of where we can go to get what. What we do at our place at Mariah, from seedling propagation, farming, making of beehive, value addition, food processing, and also some training. Last year, we did get the certification from Mount Makuru on nursery Those are some of the early days when you're starting with Mr. Fisher from ZDA, then he was chairman. On the left is Wazir, the young boy, who's also an avocado farmer. Those are some of the pictures of some greenhouse we have and shade net. Keep them. We use the greenhouse because it helps to warm the area and trees grow very fast there. And also for disease management because you keep the door locked so that insects don't go there. It's very helpful in a sense. These are ceilings and some trainings we've done in the past on grafting. Grafting is a very powerful skill that we all need to learn. We can apply it not just to avocado, but to different fruit trees as well. This is one tree we've been monitoring as a sample. This was grafted in the ground. It's now this month, 22 months old, and a lot of fruit loads on it. These are some fruits we picked up from Kawamba, but I'm expecting some again this week. Average weight 1.4 kg. So for value addition, this is powerful. So even as we do has, if we can find those good local avocados, let us also plant them. We can use them in value addition. You can imagine 1.4 kg, one fruit. How many husks can you get? Normally husks is around 250 grams. It's amazing. That's the house we got from the Kalolos. Visit by His Excellency Kanopanji, our place. Also do honey. Remember the honey talked about putting in the avocado, the beehives, chili sauce. Put some peanut butter there. And the key thing here, avocado value addition. So far, we've come to learn about 16 different products that one can make from avocado, starting with soap. As you know, soap is a product of two ingredients, oil and an alkaline. So the avocado oil mixed with an alkaline, you get a soap. The rest are just perfumes, shampoo, conditioner, juices, and from the seed, you can make tea. And from the pulp, you can also avocado pulp facial treatments, ice cream infused with avocado, cake, and avocado oil spray. So as a cooperative setting, this is where we really need to measure because these are high value products and can give us a higher return. And we don't have to even wait for us to start producing. Even the local ones we can buy off the market and do these things. That's the oil expeller and the filter, the roaster that you can use in the processing of avocado oil. Very, very simple technology. You can use a diesel engine one or one propelled by a motor. So we are using one propelled by a motor. And the investment required is no more than 55,000 for the smaller one. That gives about 1.3 tons per cycle. In the greenhouses, we are able to create these shelves on which you can dry the avocado pulp before you process the oil in the oil filter. And this can be made by, the shelves can be made by a welder. And then should have wire meshes to enable free flow of air. So that's part of the processing of the avocado. You get the ripe avocado, put it on a drying pan like we've shown there. And once it's dry, it's dark like that. In the hot season, 3 to 4 days, it's ready. Once this is ready, then you push it in the oil expeller as shown in the picture there. And then you will have your oil here produced. And the cake, you can use that cake for feed formulation for making feed for chicken and for animals. So you don't throw it. And this oil, you use it for cooking, roasting, baking, and producing. So we've moved into packaging, and that is the product, 250 mils of the avocado oil. The bottles are imported out of South Africa, but the rest of the branding and all these things done, it's been done here. Cupcakes baked using avocado oil. And these are the different global brands of avocado oil. It's a big industry, and the Italians are quite big leaders in this field. I need to mention one point. You can see there the different oils and their smoke temperature. The smoke point temperature is a temperature at which, when you are cooking, you begin to notice smoke. The higher the temperature, the better. So you can see sunflower there on the right, and avocado oil and camelin. They are very high temperature. An avocado with a high temperature, I mean, an oil with high smoke temperature is very good. So sunflower and avocado are even better than the extra virgin olive oil. It's even better than peanut oil and coconut oil and rapeseed oil, because it's able to resist its high, and the molecular structure doesn't break down. This is very important. This is what makes the oil better. Of course, avocado oil spread there. This is being marketed in Zambia out of South Africa. This we must do ourselves because we have avocado. The avocado oil used to make some spinach stir fry. Of course, there are some ice cream infused with avocado that one can prepare very easily. Once we have a lot of these avocados, this we should be able to fill in our supermarkets. Very, very simple. Of course, avocado soap that we learned in grade school. Very, very easy. Hair food, and you can also mix it with other oils like mbongo to make different hair foods. Our friends in the US are making this lotion. This we can do here as well. Our friends in Kenya are making avocado seed tea, and they mix it with rosemary, cinnamon, and many others. This is a dual proposition. And of course, avocado face mask, you find it Harrods. Just this 100 grams go for $40. You can imagine the Kawambo avocado 1.4 is able to produce 100 grams by 14 bottles of this from one fruit. You can imagine at $40. It's amazing. And of course, the famous Mexican food there, it's dried that you can make and package. Opportunity to the Minister of Agriculture to share with him about the avocado oil we are producing. They are very aware of what we are doing at Lusaka Avocado Cooperative. They are quite supportive. And there again, the minister came the other year when we were launching the strategic plan that we are implementing at Southern Sun. This was after we had presented it. Of course, in recent past, the president has been talking about avocado. We have the chief marketing officer, as he says about himself. So let's keep pushing. In terms of capital costs and operational costs required to set up and to run, very, very key. Water is critical to avocado farming, so we need to push this. That is a global market. It was in 2020, and now it is anticipated to move to 19.5 billion last year we noticed Kenya begin to export avocado to China. China is a growth market that we need to tap and get as well. And with the population growing, we now have 8 billion people. That is a sign of opportunity that is emerging. And you can see Africa, what it will be going forward in terms of numbers and Asia. So here is the market. The top producers of avocado, and Kenya is one of those top producers. Let's learn from them and push and move. Of course, Mexico leading the table. We did send about a month ago, we got some requirement from the Italian company. We did sign the letter of intent in 2021. We sent them a few months back some requirement they were looking for. And we completed as a board, and they are reviewing in terms of how we are managing and pushing to meet those requirements that they want. So we'll be working in the background with them. We also sent them a food forecast based on the survey that you give us. And these are also some fruit forecasts, the tree and how many you can get. On a 20 months tree that I showed there, we were able to get about 160 fruits on a tree. So certainly, and this is 20 months. So for 3 years, you can actually go above this 150. So this has been quite conservative. We were able to see 160 plus fruit on a tree. And then the forecast of the price of 5 kwacha, those are the returns you expect. Very well. What then are the economic benefits of avocado farming? One, it's a generational investment because it goes over 50 years, it's high return, and it also qualifies for grant funding under the Green Climate Fund and adaptation through the Ministry of Green Economy and low maintenance costs. Once and of course, you can also intercrop within the same field and be able to use that area for other things. So from the same field, you are getting 2 things season by season. That was about last year. I was giving share certificate to Linda's sister. And also we participated in ZDIF workshop. For now, we can access export market. So they've now changed their financing agreement. They are structuring their financing agreement, this is ZF, to the cycle of your crop. Because for fruit, we are talking about 3 years. So if they give you financing and expect you to pay within 2 years, we won't, because we won't have fruit. So they've been studying a cycle of avocado farming and also raise the amount that they can give. So this is a very promising funding window that we are hoping to tap. So what then are the key pillars to commercializing avocado farming? Key is invest in understanding the A to Z of avocado farm. Very good, very important point. Be a student, experiment and learn and go to others and get information. Embracing mechanization, and of course, which the technical committee of the board is working on, the global gap procedures. You will see more of this. I know the team has worked tirelessly. They've now, I think, localized these things. And this year, we should be able to begin to implement them so that we can improve on our governance systems and plant management and all these things that are needed. Of course, the need for us to understand the market structure and how it is, how we can position ourselves. So as I close, some words from the ADB chief, he's saying future millionaires and billionaires from Africa will be farmers, not from gas or any other areas, because in Africa, our comparative advantage is in agriculture. So we are in the right sector. Let us continue planting those trees. Thank you very much, Golinda.
Thank you so much for that presentation, sir. I will now read some of the questions for Engineer CHIWALA. The first one was from Alex. Alex is on YouTube asking us, what does north-south orientation practically look like? We are, sir, could you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, he's asking about how it looks like with the south orientation. How is he supposed to identify the south orientation for the canopy? I think it's what you mentioned.
Okay. You want me to answer that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
The sun comes from the east and it goes west. So your plantation needs to be from the north going south, because when the sun is coming from the east going this way, and this is what we do even in the banana farming, you will have maximum interface of the sun rays on your plants. But if it is in the same orientation, those plants at the back of your plantation, if it's coming from the east, they won't have as much sunshine as the one that is oriented north-south. So you need to look at that when you are growing your plantation, and also when you are shaping your canopy, so that there's maximum sunshine hitting your tree for photosynthesis and flowering and so on.
Thank you so much, sir. And in addition to that, we had a presentation by Professor Reda, which is available on our channel. I have just shared the YouTube channel with everybody on YouTube and in the Zoom call. So feel free to look into that into detail. Do we have any questions from any members on Zoom? I cannot see any hands raised, but if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, you're very welcome to join.
Hi, Linda, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to find out, I think, Chair, that was a very good presentation, very insightful and easy to follow through. In terms of post-harvest logistics, is the cooperative society working with any technical partners on assisting with storage as well as logistics for this product? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was from Tula Keirasa, if you want to answer that.
Yes, as a board, we are working also on establishing a processing facility for oil, as well as storage and cleaning facilities. We already, in fact, got some quotation from companies that can help us with this type of equipment. And looking for land where we can do this. We do have some members that have offered some land. We are yet to crystallize these engagements so that we can establish this on that. That is agreeing with them, the parceling out of that portion of land for purposes of setting up storage facilities, as well as handling and processing for avocado oil. So that is on the card, something that is in front of us that we are pushing. We should be able this year to crystallize that. And it's our hope that with some of the proposals we've presented to financiers, once those are well received, then we can use some of those funding for this purpose.
Thank you, sir. We have another question here from Bessa. Bessa is asking, based on the survey done, what kind of volumes of avos are we forecasting for 2023? As farmers based in Zambia, are we able to meet the needs of the Italian buyer? That was from Besasa.
We are currently not able to meet, but we've given a fruit forecast up to 2026 based on what the members have given and also what we know of what other people are doing. So in terms of tonnage, it's under 300 tons, they want 960 tons, but we are going to see massive growth in the next 2 years because we've seen a number of people planting, and also as a cooperative, we are planting at our Kawamba. Our expectation is to plant every year 40,000, as you know, which translates to about 100 hectares. So with that, in around 2026, we should be able to meet those requirements. And they are happy with that because they've seen the forecast that we gave them year by year going forward. I submit.
Thank you, sir. I've got a question here from Simon. He says, my question is, wouldn't less than 5 by 5 lead to overcrowding of trees? Thank you.
There are some regions that are even doing 4 by 3, even 3 by 3. Of course, you prune and so on. And the idea is they've experimented in terms of fruits that you are able to get per square meter is a function of the number of trees that you have. The more you have, so your yields is higher. And then with time as they grow, they are able to cut and leave more space. The idea is to maximize and get your return on investment much area. So we have seen regions where they are doing 4 by 3, 4 by 5, 5 by 5. Unlike the old model of very big spacing of 7 by 10, 6 by 7, and so on. So you have to periodically, of course, prune and ensure that the shading is minimized.
Thank you, sir. We have no more questions on, on YouTube, but I would like to ask those on Zoom, if you would like to unmute yourself, if you'd like to ask a question.
Good evening, Miss Kalinda.
Yes, go ahead, Namundi. Is that Mrs. Nayame?
Yes, yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Engineer CHIWALA, for that presentation.
Thank you.
I was looking at the tree that was grafted on site. I wanted just to find out, would you encourage one to plant the ordinary seeds and then graft on site? What is your take on that one? Thank you.
I would encourage you you can plant direct on the ground. In fact, we are already doing that also at the farm for the avocado cooperative in Kawambwa. Some of them we've planted seedlings already, grafted. And while we've done that, they will give us mileage because very soon they will become established and we should be able to begin to harvest. But on the ground, what I have personally experienced is that when you plant in a plastic, the tree is constricted in terms of the land mass in which the root system is. However, if it's planted direct in the ground, it can freely grow. There is even one plant that we are experimenting where we put some concrete underground. This is a local variety. This tree is amazing. It was planted last year on 28th January. As we speak today, it's over 3 meters above the ground. So we would encourage you can do that and plant and then graft on the site, and it works. Certainly the tree grows faster. I submit.
Thank you so much, engineer. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. Is anybody else got a question for Engineer CHIWALA, who's on Zoom?
I've seen one here. Can one plant avocado in the middle of rain season this month? Yes, we are planting now. This is the time to plant because the rain just soaks them and the trees are happy. This is the time because you don't have to irrigate.
Thank you. There's another one above that one. What of how to store them as well as post-harvest logistics to local markets?
This one was asked by Director Kaira. I think we handled it. Where I talked about that we are working with one member for acquisition of land to set up the facility. We've made application for funding here and there.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a question for engineer? If you're on Zoom, could you unmute yourself, please? Okay, we haven't had any questions on them. Thank you so much, engineer, for that wonderful presentation. I would just like to add a few more comments. Engineer CHIWALA mentioned canopy management. If you go to our channel, there was a presentation by Professor Reader on canopy management that will also help with the sunlight question. He also mentioned nutrient management. There was a talk by Olipa, one of the technical committee members, on nutrient management and fertilizer. You'll find that again on the Lusaka Avocado Multipurpose Cooperative YouTube channel, which I have shared in the chat and also in YouTube. He also mentioned the importance of water. We have a talk by Engineer Kanoa coming up on irrigation, and there is one previously by Professor that is also on the channel, but there's one that's upcoming if you want to save your questions for Engineer Kanoa. Engineer Kanoa is part of the board and part of the technical committee. He has also set up the irrigation system in Kawambwa. Is that correct, Engineer CHIWALA?
Yes, he has, and it's solar powered because we don't have Zesco there.
Oh yes, thank you, appreciate that. And then he also mentioned markets. So in terms of markets, Mr. Choa will be talking to us about local and international markets. If you look at the booking form, that will show you which date that is. But also Mr. Pierre, who's the owner of Buttermere Farm, has started exporting. Engineer, would you like to mention anything about that?
Yes, we visited them last 2021 December in Kabwe. It's a great farm. 35,000 trees we found. And last year they began export into the European market. So they allowed us to visit them and we had some sessions and they're very keen to come again and share the knowledge. And recently they are also working on producing avocado oil. They've also established a processing center for cleaning and packaging of the avocado for market, for export. So they'll be here next time and we learn from people who are playing the football.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hello, Florence. I can see your question on YouTube. You said last year there was a field trip to Buttermere Farm. Is there any consideration for field trips this year? Yes, there are 3 field trips that are booked for this year. One has just been agreed with Engineer CHIWALA for Mariah Garden. The other one is by Engineer Mutumushi. He'll be looking at harvesting and we'll be able to have a tour, and that's on the 11th of May. And then Mr. Pierre, who's coming to give us a presentation, he has also said we are able to book a time to go and visit. So please note that everything is on the booking form and you'll be able to book a slot then. We will try as much as possible to share things in the WhatsApp group, but because it's busy, some people miss some of the topics. That's all I had in terms of announcements. Engineer CHIWALA, would you like to add and close the meeting, sir?
We also, once we crystallize, would like to make a trip into Kawambwa so that the members can go and see what's happening there. and we also do some work. There's something about when you see where your money is going in flesh and blood. So once we crystallize at the board, we will inform the members, and we can do a trip there and go and see where the investment for shares is going. So I'd like to
Yes.
thank the members for making time.
Sorry, sir, please go ahead.
I was saying we would like to thank the members for making time this evening, and also to watch out for those notices that you post on these field trips.
Thank you. I can see a lot of comments regarding the field trips. Yes, everybody seems to have their tents ready and willing to come and join you on Kawamba. Thank you so much, engineer. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you giving us this presentation. We look forward to your next presentation, which is on the 2nd of February, called Building Farming Enterprises in the Avocado Space. So those of you who would put more questions for our chair, please save that date on the 2nd of February. He'll be right back here. Thank you so much, engineer. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you.